Hello, and welcome to another episode of my Big Fat Pull List. An extra episode, in fact, for this week, because there was just so much that was going on this last weekend that we had to do another episode. We had to do a second episode. And in this episode, we are going to be talking about our experiences at the Fan Expo St. Louis 2022 convention. I am Dr. Impact. Joining me today are the other two listers who went to the convention. Guys, introduce yourselves.
I'm Smurphy.
And I am Dragonus Prime.
So, unfortunately, Pistol, Danger, and Mr. X, they were unable to go to the convention with us. They both had other, you know how life does that. Life kind of gets in the way,
Life finds a way.
or gets in the way, and
Time out. I was gonna say that, but you beat me to it.
didn't we say
Good
like
for
in
you.
the last episode that our
Good.
new slogan should be something like comics find the way or something like
Comics
something
find a
like
way.
that? Yeah. Yeah, so
Yep.
anyway, we had such an amazing time at Fan Expo
Oh, unbelievable.
this year. It was so incredible that we wanted to do a second episode of the week and just gush about our trip to the show
Mhm.
and share with all of you listeners um, our experiences because it was amazing. And I will say, I think I'm speaking for all three of us here, uh, that none of us really expected much going into it.
Not at all. Not. I mean, St. Louis Wizard World has been
Th-
pretty
it-
bad historically. And I mean, Fan Expo is a fantastic convention group, but I didn't expect them to blow up and blow it out as nearly as much as they did.
Hmm. Yeah, and I guess that is a
and for those listening, if you're confused, oh, sorry, I was gonna say for those like listening who are confused, Fan Expo bought out Wizard World or took over for Wizard World
Yeah.
somewhere along those for at least the St. Louis con.
yeah. No, I think they bought them out pretty much
So yeah, so
everywhere,
I mean
didn't
that's why if
they?
you guys hear us say, "Oh, Fan
I
Expo,"
think the only one left is like Wizard World Chicago, and I might even be wrong about that.
I
Yeah, I don't know honestly if that one is still around or not. But yes, so we are going to.
I know they did it for 4 cities.
Yes, they switched it over for
Mhm.
at least the four. Yeah,
Right.
we are going to get into it here. So hang on. And for those of you who are just listening to this episode on your favorite podcast platform, as always, this episode is on YouTube, but this one in particular, you will see us actually talking. This is
That's
an
right.
actual video podcast episode, and we will be putting things up on the screen to talk about the various pieces of swag that we got at the show. So, without further ado, let's get into Fan Expo St. Louis 2022. So we will get into the meat here of Fan Expo. I forgot to mention. I do want to make a quick mention here. Um, we try to make things as professional as we can here, but I mean, really, guys, we're just having, we're trying to have a good time with this show, and
Hmm.
we're trying to just have a lot of fun, and we don't have a control room or a control board, and so. Occasionally we do have a little bit of, audio lag from time to time. So I think we've taken care of it for the most part. You'll still be able to hear all of us, but it may sound a little different than normal in this episode. So anyway, that is that business out of the way. Let's get into Fan Expo and how freaking cool it was. Dragonus, start us off. You got down there on Saturday, right?
Yes, I did. I got down there Saturday. I didn't get down there right as it opened. I had gone to conventions every year right as they open, and then after about like noon, I'm just like, ugh, why did I get here so early? I'm so tired from walking.
Mm-hmm.
So me and Mrs. Prime, we decided, you know what, we're just going to go down a little bit later, and yeah, we went down probably a couple hours after it opened. And the first big thing I noticed walking in that was set this one apart from the past Wizard World, as far as with Fan Expo, was there was a massive Source Point Press booth,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
of all the the cons that I have been to, and I'll be honest, I've not gone to many conventions outside the St. Louis area, except for maybe a Wizard World here or there, and even then, Wizard Worlds aren't like a big con. I never seen a big comic booth at a show. So walking in, seeing that for the first time, I was like, "Oh, this is cool." And then, yeah, we were there. We took a look around at that stuff, picked up a few copies of the Winchester House comic. So
From Source Point Press. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's from Source Point Press themselves. And that looked really interesting. The missus really liked the free comic book, so we wanted to get the next couple issues.
Mm-hmm.
Dragonus.
And then after that, we kind of yes.
Oh, sorry. Again, there's that
Go ahead,
delay.
Smurf.
I was going to ask you, when we've gone to cons before, you waste a lot of energy waiting in line just to like get in the door. So you going late, I think, is a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
And I almost think we should we should almost make like a tip sheet for those going to cons. Like, hey man, here's rules to follow. You don't need to be the first one in the door. You know, you're gonna waste a lot of time standing in line.
You know,
and you're just gonna
Smurfy,
wear out your feet and tired. So, you know, I'm like, we need to do
no,
that.
Smurfy, that's actually a brilliant idea. Because like
cons.
Years past, like you said, you and I would go. You and I would go. You and I would wait in line like for at least an hour just to buy our pass, and then wait in line at least another hour to get into the show. Here, we walked up, bought our pass, turned around, and walked in all in the span of like 10, 15 minutes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and then once we got in, we just kind of walked around and took in all the sites. The vendors were kind of if I had any negative thing to say about this convention, I would say the vendors were a little bit subpar compared to other shows. It seemed like every booth had the same thing. There wasn't anything unique, and I saw one and a half, and I only say a half because one booth had one table with like 8 boxes of comic books. There weren't really any comic books anywhere at the convention. And that was really disappointing because I really wanted to look for some. I'm trying to get all those 90s Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, the old TSR DC comics. And I'm thinking maybe I'll find some here. But no, I didn't find diddly.
But you offset that by all of the other things that you did do on Saturday.
That's right. So the first thing we did was we decided we were going to go meet one of the celebrity guests. And we went around, and the first person that we met was Super Mario and Super Luigi himself, Charles Martinet. And you know, as you guys know too, going into these celebs, you never know what you're going to get from them, because these people, you practically idolize them. I mean, how many times, Smurfy, have you and I talked like Mario to each other just for fun? So, but you never know, is Mario going to be cool? Is Charles Martinet going to be like, hey, thanks for coming, here's an autograph, go about your day? But
or is he
when I went up to meet him, we were standing in line, and the guy had a Bluetooth. Right. Or is he going to be mad and offended? Like we've heard some Trekkian captains can be.
Gee, who are you referencing?
I think it was I can't remember his name. I can't seem to recall.
Was it TJ something? TJ something. TJ Hooker maybe? Anyway, doesn't matter. Go on.
He probably, yeah. So we go up, and like I say, Charles Martinet has a Bluetooth speaker playing Mario music. Like all the main songs, and it's just blaring, and it's just like, okay, this kid's kind of setting the tone. And we noticed behind the table he's there, and again, for those of you who are listening to this maybe a few years later, this is post-COVID, he does have a mask on still, as we're still trying to get around that, but he's there with his mask on, and he's got his like fedora cowboyish hat and a Super Mario Red T-shirt, and he's dancing like Mario when he's not talking to people, just behind the table, and then every once in a while you hear him be like woohoo, and just having a good old time.
The way that you have described meeting him to me in the last couple of days, it sounds like he just allows himself to love life. Doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter he has determined that he is going to love life no matter what. And that, I think that's amazing. I think that's
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, the guy literally embodies the energy and heartfelt emotion of Mario. Like
That's so cool.
even going up and getting him, myself and the wife, we both got autographs from him. I got a massive poster, wall size poster, Super Mario Brothers 3 signed, and he signed it. He goes, Super Nate, and he's talking like a Mario the entire time, and he writes, woohoo. And he writes, what is it? He writes, let's go. And he's signing all of his things with little smiley faces and mustaches. I mean, it was great. And
All
he
right.
does
Yeah, see, that's cool. That's cool.
he was fantastic. He does the Luigi's voice for my wife because she got the Luigi's Mansion sign, and he's talking like Luigi the entire time, going ho ho, and all of it. And we were like laughing so hard we could barely see straight. And then we got pictures with him, and he took 3 pictures with him, and he had us do 3 different Mario poses with him, which we both did very horribly. But it was such a blast, and he made you feel like he was really excited to see you. And that was like a great way to kick it off. I was like, wow, what a great dude. And like, had we not gotten to another celebrity guest later today, that probably would have been my highlight of the show.
Oh, sure, yeah. But you did go to somebody after that.
Well, I went to a few after that. I also went and met Nolan North, the voice actor for Nathan Drake. He did the voice of the Penguin from the Arkham games. He's done. He was Deadpool in those Hulk versus cartoons. He was also Deadpool in the video game.
I don't think I realized that he was Deadpool
Mm-hmm.
in those animated
And
films.
he was also Green Lantern a couple of times. And as he pointed out on his own Twitter, he was Deadpool and Green Lantern before Ryan Reynolds was. But we met him. We were talking to him, and he noticed I was wearing a St. Louis Cardinals baseball cap because, spoiler alert, Dragonus Prime's a huge baseball fan.
For those who don't know yet, we're based out of St. Louis, so the show is based here. So,
right. And so he noticed my St. Louis Cardinals hat, and it turns out Nolan North is a St. Louis Cardinals fan.
He's a smart man.
And he talks about how he grew up nearby and how his wife is in the area, or from not too far, about a couple hours from the St. Louis area. So he grew up a Cardinals and a Chiefs fan. And even when he went away to the coast, both for living and working, he still stayed a Cardinals fan. And we were just talking baseball. He was talking about current players and how he's gotten to meet a few of them, how he has friends it was really kind of cool just having like that guy sports talk with Nolan North. And again, treating me like, he and I kind of knew each other already.
That's cool. That's cool.
And like with Charles Martinet, I got a few selfies with him as well.
And an autograph.
And an autograph, yes, thank you. I got him to sign an 8x10 print of Uncharted 3. I wanted Uncharted 2 because that's my favorite one, but he didn't have a print of that one, so I'm with Uncharted 3.
Hey, you get what you get. So who did you meet after that?
Well, after that, then we checked out and met Michael Rosenbaum, who, for those of you who may not know at home, Michael Rosenbaum was Lex Luthor on Smallville, and he was the voice of the Flash in the Bruce Timm Justice League and Justice League Unlimited shows. I have always been a huge fan of his ever since Smallville. My wife is a huge fan of his from when he was in Pool Hall Junkies way back in the 90s. So we were both really excited to meet him. I got a print I got a Lex Luthor print signed by him, and I was telling him, I was like, man, I couldn't decide between Lex Luthor or the Flash. And he's like, the Flash? Really? I go, dude, you are my Flash. Like, you are my Flash. And he goes, oh, dude, I love you, man. And I was like, I kind of like had my heart little like swell up with that moment. And then he asked me my name, and I told him my name, and he starts writing it down and starts rhyming with my name. And for those of you whom he didn't rhyme Dragonus, but
yeah, your
but
real
yeah,
name, yeah,
my secret identity, yes. And he started rhyming it and making a big limerick about it. And then his handler was like, "Oh, hey, we got to get going soon. You've got your photo op with Silent Bob." Apparently, Michael Rosenbaum bought a photo op with Kevin Smith, and he had to hurry up and go get a Kevin Smith photo op. And it was just like, oh my gosh, it was kind of cool to see like Lex Luthor and the Flash be such a big fanboy that he too wanted to meet Kevin Smith.
That's cool. That's cool.
I would have paid to see that interaction.
The final celebrity. Oh,
yeah, right.
Oh, right. Oh my gosh, that would have been amazing. Hey Kevin, when are you going to put me in one of your movies?
I am kind of surprised that he's not ever been in a Kevin Smith film.
Maybe that's why he wanted the photo op. Networking.
Maybe. So who did you guys meet after that?
Well, the last one that we met that night before we went home because our dogs were barking, was we went to go meet the amazingly talented man of almost a million voices, Rob Paulson. And for those of you at home who may not recognize the name Rob Paulson or go, oh, wait, Rob Paulson, I recognize that name, but I don't know why. Rob Paulson was the voice of the original Raphael from the old 80s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He then came back to the franchise and voiced Donatello in the 2012 CG animated show. He also
the Nickelodeon one, right?
Yes, the Nickelodeon one. He also did a couple of little voices you may or may not have heard of from a little cartoon show called Animaniacs, where he was Yakko Warner and sang the Country of the World song. I don't know if you've heard of that show or not. No, you're not familiar with that?
No, that's foreign to me. Smurfy, do you know what he's talking about?
What's a cartoon?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think we know this.
But yes, he's done that among a million other. And for you Rick and Morty fans, he was he was Snowball from early episodes of Rick and Morty, the little dog Snowball.
Oh, I didn't know he did that. Okay.
Yep, he's done. Like I said, he's he's practically, in my opinion, a modern day Mel Blanc. He's a man of a million voices.
Yes, and for the younger listeners out there who are listening, anybody who just went, Mel who? Mel what? Mel Blanc is kind of the godfather of voiceovers. He did every single voice of every single character in the old Looney Tunes cartoons.
What's up, Smurf?
He also is on Facebook a lot and will do voices and stuff and like quick little promos on Facebook.
Rob Paulson, not Mel Blanc. Mel Blanc's
no.
So if Mel Blanc was on,
right. Sorry, Rob Paulson. Yeah, he's still very active and he'll still do voices and even like promos if he's going to a con.
Yes.
So if you're not following him on Facebook and you need a smile, follow him on Facebook.
Yeah. Instagram and Twitter as well. He does both of those, and I think he's now also on TikTok. Like he's all over the place. Again, Rob Paulson. It would be very strange and weird if Mel Blanc was on all that stuff, and I would actually,
he's kind of dead.
You'd have to start planning for the zombie apocalypse if that was the case, because he's kind of dead, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, Dragonus, we're hijacking your story. Get back to your story.
Right, we forgot. So I went up and. The best interaction, well, not the best interaction, but the starting interaction I had with Rob Paulson wasn't even me interacting with him. It was him interacting with the person in front of me, who the gentleman looked like to be a bit on the spectrum. But the way Rob Paulson was just talking to him with such genuine patience, patience isn't the correct word, genuine like empathy and joy and just so happy to see someone there to see him. And like he would even like sit there and talk to the gentleman and like drop just pinky and be like Nerf just out of nowhere and just going on, and it was so wonderful to see him interacting with that.
That's cool.
And then I got to go up and talk to him, And like I told him, I was like, Mr. Paulson, it's such an honor to meet you. And he's like, oh no, it's great to meet you. I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, you were my childhood. And he's
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
this old guy. And I go, no, man. Like, and then I started listing off all the voices that he or that he's done for me. And he's like, wow, well, that's, he honestly looked genuinely touched to hear that, I loved his voices and his career and his entertainment so much. And then I had him sign a print for me that the coolest print ever, which we'll share a picture with you guys because it's pretty wicked cool. It's Yakko Warner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Yakko Warner with a red Turtles bandana, a purple Turtles bandana, a sai, and a bow. It's like because I couldn't decide if I wanted a Turtles print or Animaniacs print, and this was like perfect.
That's all of them.
Yeah.
You just
and then yeah, exactly. So I was like, because I looked over and I was looking at him and I go, oh, that's the one. But then I mentioned to Mr. Paulson that I actually have, and Dr. Impact, we actually have a connection to him in a way. There's a gentleman by the name of Randy Rogel. He wrote a lot of the songs in Animaniacs, chief of that being the Yakko's World song, where he sings United States Band, I go Mexico.
Generally, any of the songs that are lists like that,
Yeah.
or when like the dictionary song, the state song, the planet song, all of those, because there were a couple of different songwriters on the show,
Right.
but generally any of those kinds of songs, which is the lion's share of them, is Randy Rogel. Yeah.
And so I had mentioned to him how I knew Randy and that how our father, who's a professional actor in St. Louis, worked with Randy in a summer stock theater. And he looked at me with like these big eyes of shock. He goes, you know Randy? And then we got to talking about Randy a little bit. And I was telling him how like I said, how he worked with Dad in Singing in the Rain. He played Cosmo. And yeah, he was really genuinely excited to hear about that. Which I have a small clip of our conversation about that on our Instagram page. So if you want to see that little bit of a clip, you can head on over there and you can see Mr. Paulson's genuine surprise and excitedness to see that I knew Randy Rogel.
Yeah. Go pause this, head on over to Instagram and watch that little video. We'll wait for you. Pretty cool, right? Now that you're back, pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely cool. I watched it again while I was gone.
I know, right? While we were paused, yeah.
And then after that, I went and met, on our way out, I went and met the amazing, extremely talented Jay Lee. He was a very, very timid and kind of a introverted man, just sitting there working on his art. He was very, very grateful that I was there. I told him, I was like, hey, you're one of my favorite artists. I've loved your art for years. I bought a print from him that he signed. But he also was like, I mean, he's an artist, so not every artist is as extroverted as myself or Dr. Impact. In fact, I would think we're kind of more the exception to that rule.
Probably.
But still, he was very, 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 very gracious man, and it was very, very cool to meet him and actually be like, I met Jay Lee.
Yeah,
and
he's
that,
great. His Transformer G.I. Joe covers are just amazing, and his Dark Tower covers, and just all of his stuff is incredible. Yeah.
His use of heavy, heavy black with color, because you usually can't do a lot of black with color, but man.
Yeah, he does contrast so well. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, and then that was about the end of the day. On our way out, we went back to the car. We both gave a huge sigh of exhaustion and drove home.
That is a pretty remarkable day. Even just that on its own would have been enough to do a hey listeners, we want to share this kind of thing. But as monumentally cool as that is,
but wait, there's more.
That doesn't even come close to everything that went on the next day when Smurphy and I joined Dragonus Prime for Sunday. So the next day, Sunday, we Smurfy and I didn't think that we were going to be able to go, because we really, we had that event all day, the Bowling for Autism event with the Heroes for Kids on Saturday, and
Which,
we
if you
just didn't
haven't
really.
checked that out, everybody, check on out.
Yep. We'll put links to that here in the show notes for this episode and in the description here on YouTube below. But we really didn't think that we were going to be able to go, and we didn't want to like drop the money on a ticket to go and then not really get. It's like, I don't want to spend all that kind of money and then maybe not really get
Sure.
anything, and you know, and then. Uh, Through a series of chances, and we won't go into detail on that, and give out a lot of that info, but through a series of chances, Smurphy was able to get us a free ticket. So then we decided, well, if that's the case, then we'll just go ahead and buy a ticket and split it, which is what Smurphy and I did.
Which is a heck of a lot smarter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so we ended up then going down and meeting up with Dragonus and Mrs. Prime. But before we got there, Dragonus,
Right.
you guys went and did something else while we were driving down there.
That's right. Forgot. So, contrary to what I did on Saturday, Sunday we actually did get down there as soon as it opened. And this was because Mrs. Prime, who's a huge Star Trek fan, a Trekker, as they prefer to be called, from what I understand, she wanted to meet, ironically enough, TJ Hooker himself, William Shatner. I think that was his biggest role, right?
I think that's what he's known for most, is TJ. It's either that or Denny Crane, from.
Yeah. What Submurf?
I think it's from Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. He is probably most known for Star Wars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Battlestar Galactica, one of the two. Yeah. Or you sure it wasn't Sequest? Anyway, we could do this all day. Yeah, we could do this all day. Continue with your story, Dragons.
So we got down there and we stood in line to buy an autograph so that she can meet Mr. Shatner. And I'm sure everyone has heard the horror stories of Shatner, how he can be very rude, very sign it, go away, sign it, go away. And I mean, everyone's heard it. And you've also heard stories the opposite, where Shatner was a lovable man. He was an amazing person to meet. So you never know what you're going to get with Bill Shatner. And from what we understand, it also depends on if William's having a good day or not.
Sure. I mean, they're only human,
Sure.
so,
Right.
Everybody has bad days.
So as we're standing in line, we hear that he has a photo opera at 11 and then a panel at noon. Then he was probably going to go to lunch after the panel at 1. So even though we got there at like 9:30, 10 o'clock, he might not even show up to sign until 2. So we're thinking, oh man. And they're like, unless he's having a good mood, then he might come down and sign before the photo op. So, we're crossing every finger and praying to every Vulcan and Romulan and Klingon god out there that he's having a good day. And sure enough, we find out at 10:15, Shatner's coming down to do some signings before his photo op. So we ended up picking up a print. We got in line. He showed up. Everyone applauded because it's Bill Shatner. He's in his 90s. When are you going to see Bill Shatner again?
Yeah, really.
And and his manager kept things very quick. Like, get your stuff out, get it ready. We got to get through this line. And Bill Shatner was the most transactional experience we had, but it still wasn't bad. He was signing autographs, and you could see he had a mask on, but you could see he was smiling with his eyes. But he was signing autographs, and he was like, "Thank you for coming. Sign it. Thank you for coming. Sign it. Thank you for coming." He got to us, and he signs it, and he goes, "Are you Mrs. Prime?" And she's like, "Yes." He goes, "Well, it's been a pleasure to meet you." And I'll be honest, man, I have not seen her glow like that until later in the day. When she met another celebrity, when she glowed more.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah. But yeah, it was really cool to be like 2 feet across the table from William Shatner, and he was like in a great mood, and he was a nice guy. Like, I don't care what anyone says about he was always a jerk. No, William Shatner was a great guy, and I'm going to stick to it.
And that's so cool. I mean, he's, I mean, Picard will always be my captain.
Me
I
too.
mean, we all grew up with the next gen, so I love all Star Trek, but Picard will always be my
Right.
captain. But I'm sorry, no matter how much I love Picard, he's the OG. He's Captain Kirk. I mean,
There would be no Picard without Kirk.
right, right. I mean, he's
Mm-hmm.
he's the whole kit and caboodle right there.
So yeah, it was really good, and she ended up getting a picture of Kirk fighting the Gorn for an autograph.
Perfect. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Well, it was around that time that Smurfy and I got down to the con.
Yep.
And we walked in, and that was kind of an interesting little excursion around downtown. Smurfy and I trying to find a place to park, and there was the garages that are normally there. What was it? It was closed, right?
Yeah, a lot of them were closed off.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It was so weird.
Yeah, like what
yes,
were you saying about it, Smurfy?
So the garage where we park at, which is normally open, which is right next to the dome that we go in at, completely closed, locked down, almost abandoned looking. Which to me, it's an easy way to make money. Why not have that open? $20 a car, done, and everybody would have paid it, and you would have made tons of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very, very, very strange.
Unless they thought it was going to be a bust con too.
Maybe. Well, we walked in, and you know how that feeling walking into a con for the first time, and it's like no matter how big or small it is, the first thing in your mind is, crap, where do I start? And but like Dragonus said, the first thing that you saw was the booth for Source Point Press.
Mm-hmm.
And Source Point Press has not been around for a very long time, a few years, handful of years. And I discovered Source Point Press a number of years ago through their book Touching Evil. And they're a great, creator-owned company. Well, when we walked in, listers, long-term listers, you guys know that Dragonus and I and our dad, we have been developing our own horror-themed comic that we've been working on, and we're very, very close to finishing our first issue. And so we went over to talk to the guys at Source Point Press about the possibility of submitting and seeing if they would even be interested in looking at a submission like this. And I don't want to go into a whole lot of detail with Source Point Press because I really want to do an episode very, very soon all about Source Point Press. And we can get into more of the details of this story then at that time. But what I will say is this. The guy that we spoke with at the booth, his name was Nolan, and he was
cool.
fantastic. Yeah. He was so informative and so engaging, and just chatted with us. And
Mm-hmm.
I bought all the Winchester books. I bought the Good Boy, which is a 3-issue werewolf book.
It's a little more than that. Did they tell you what the actual plot of it was?
No, and I don't want to know. I don't want to know because I haven't read them yet. I want to sit
Oh.
down and I want to read it, sight unseen kind of a thing. So, and great covers by Nick Bradshaw. Anyway, we can get into more details about that when we do an episode on
Mm-hmm.
on Source Point Press. But that was a fantastic,
Oh my
fantastic
gosh.
experience.
Yeah.
And that's how the day started on Sunday for Smurfy and I, anyway. And then from there, we went to check out times for Kevin Smith because Kevin Smith, who was not supposed, he wasn't even supposed to be there that day.
That's right.
He jumped in.
We actually went to see who the guests were, and we ran into Jay and Randall from Clerks, and we were standing around.
Right.
Me and Dragonus we're practicing our Randall walk when Randall came from behind the table and walked up to us and looked at Dragonus and goes, "Yours isn't so good." And looked at me and went, "Yours is pretty good." And I was like, I have to get a photo op now, and we have to do the Randall
Yeah,
walk after that. Like, we have to.
that was so cool. Jeff Anderson, like he just poked his head around our group. That was we were standing there and looked right at Dragonus and was just like, that's the walk you're doing? That's a
Yeah.
terrible version of the walk." Dragonus got razzed by Randall from Clerks, which is
Oh,
I
not
gotta
just
say that's
Randall.
probably pretty cool.
And he
Not
was
just
called the
Randall.
Randall of the group because Pistol wasn't there.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
Jay also razzed on me.
Did he
Mhm.
really? I didn't
Yep,
hear
that's
that.
right. We were standing there. Oh,
Yep.
you didn't catch that? Yeah,
No.
we were standing there, and we were looking at it, and you went over, I guess to pay for because you were going to do the photo op, Smurphy, with Jay, and so we were standing there, and Jay comes over, and Dragonus, what did he say to you?
Oh, I walked up and was like, "Hey, man, I just wanted to come up and say hi to you." And he goes, "Nah, man, yeah, I'm not going to talk to you guys unless you're giving me any kind of money." And then he saw the wife, and he goes, "Her, I'll talk to."
Yeah, and then I said, "Oh, I don't blame you," and I pointed at you, Dragonus, and I was like, "This
Yeah,
is my brother," and I don't blame you. He's not, he's not the greatest,
yeah.
and he fist bumps me, and he goes, "Yeah, right. Like this dude, man, this dude's trouble over here."
He's like, Why'd you bring this effing dude?"
Yeah, that's right. Why did you bring this?
I heard I'm paying for the photo. I heard bits and pieces of that, and I was like, "What is going on with the group behind me? Like, what is going on with my crew?" And okay, that's what was going on. Got it.
Yeah, so I will take that razzing, and I am going to wear that badge with pride. And Jay, when you listen to this, because I know you're going to listen to this, thank you for demeaning me in front of my brother and my wife.
I think it's so cool that within the matter of what was that? Maybe 20 minutes. Within a
At
matter of
most.
20 minutes at most, Dragonus got razzed by both Jason Mewes and Jeff Anderson in a period of 20 minutes.
It was
Jeff
worth
Anderson had
it.
a conversation with me. We discussed cons in general, comparing New York Comic
Yes.
Con
So
to the Fan
yes. So
Expo Comic
talk.
Con.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tell
yeah, yeah.
us
Well
about
said.
that because we didn't.
Okay.
Jay was nice enough to include all of us in the selfie, which was wild. I didn't expect
Right.
that. But it was the picture that you got with Jeff Anderson was just the two of you, and you guys talked for a while. What did you talk about there?
Well, so first with Jay, he actually asked me. He goes, "Hey, are those guys all with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, man." I'm like, that's. I go, "We're a podcast. These are my podcast buddies, you know." And he was like, "Oh, we got to include them in the photo." He's like, and that's when he turned around and goes, "Guys, get over here! Like, group photo." I was like,
Yep.
"That's awesome." On my phone, I probably have about 9 photos with Jason Mewes. So that like
That's
$20
so
one
cool.
That's so
selfie.
cool.
Because then again, he told me like, I'm like, dude, I've never done a selfie, which sadly it's true. I've never ever done a selfie because I was like, I don't care. I don't do them. And he was like, "Great, we're gonna
Because
we're
you're
gonna
an
pop
older.
your Virgin Sherry selfie together." What a guy to do it with, right? So he told that to me, like
I
as he took
missed
my photo.
that completely.
Yeah, and that's why like if you see the
Oh, that's
photos, you see
great.
my face. It's kind of go, what? And then like there's like a photo where I'm like it clicked in my head what he said. So I'll have to show you like all the photos because like
That's
and he in
wonderful.
every photo he changes his face.
Yeah.
My face stayed the same because I thought I was just doing one, and he's just like ooh yeah. Like he was working the camera with
Oh,
himself. Like oh yeah,
Nolan
working. And I'm
North did
like
the same thing with me.
yeah, like and I was
Yeah.
like okay, and then and I was like well if I'm gonna get Jay's, I gotta get I gotta get Randall. Like I love Randall. Randall's probably my favorite of all those guys. So I go over to do it, and yeah,
Well, yeah.
it turns out the guy working the booth was a guy that me and Doctor actually sold comic books to. His name was Mike. And talking to Mike for a while, Mike's like, "Yeah, dude." He's like, "Jeff's a really cool guy," and took care of me. And then Jeff was talking about it, like, "Yeah, man, I wouldn't be able to do anything without Mike." And that was our conversation. Was it led to I can't do anything without Mike. I told him I trusted Mike. Mike said he trusted me. That's when Jeff was like, "Hey, man, like, tell me more about these cons. Like, does it get more crowded? Does it not? Like, is this normal for St. Louis?" And I was like, "No, man, this is kind of low." Because
Huh.
I told him the whole story about Wizard World buying out Fan Expo. No one was really sure what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how Saturday went, but normally they're fairly crowded, and Sundays is the day it's a little less crowded, but it's a great time to come and get deals. So we just like had like a huge conversation just about like everything, who you guys
Wow.
were. We do a podcast. He was like, "That's super awesome, man. Stay with it." Like Jeff was a legit awesome, cool guy. Like I could not have like like that.
Dude,
I would say
he
that made the
seemed.
con. Yeah, I would like that made the con. It didn't though. That's what's
Yeah.
sad. Like what a great way to start the con. And I was like, "How are we gonna top this?" We did.
We did. We did.
Yeah, we did.
So from there, we we went over and we checked out. Was it the Curse of the Darkness? After that,
Oh yeah, Curse of Darkness.
Curse
By
of Darkness, yes, and which is another Source Point press book, and we'll again, we don't want to go into a whole lot of detail here because we'll do that in the Source Point Press episode, but
the artist and writer. There was a guy named George Michail, Michail. Go check him out on Instagram and all social media. Follow him. He's an amazing artist.
And he was the
amazing
writer and the artist, if
I
I'm
think so,
correct.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. He was really great to chat with, and that was a really fun experience. And then at that point, I needed to go in line because I had bought the photo op with Kevin Smith. You long-term listeners, you guys know that Mr. X and I co-wrote and co-produced and co-starred in an indie film called Four Color Eulogy. Four Color Eulogy was always inspired by the Kevin Smith films. We always compared it by saying that this film is a less silly, PG-13 dramatic version of a Kevin Smith film. Nowhere near as goofy. We didn't shy away from using language in the film, but nothing, like in a Kevin Smith movie. But it was very, very heavily influenced. And we always thought it would be really cool to share the movie with Kevin. But, opportunities never arose. Well, this opportunity arose, so I got the photo op. So I go over there and I get in line. And I find out you get 2 adults with one ticket. So Dragonus jumps in, and the two of us.
I flew right in on my metal wings.
Yeah, right, and the two of us, we go in, and it looks like Kevin is bear hugging people as they walk in, and we thought, oh.
Before that, though, we started to go in, and they pushed us all back out. And they said, no, Kevin wants to come out and meet everybody first.
That's right, right. So we all had to go back out and get in line. And he comes out, and Dragonus and I were at the front of the line. And so he comes out, and the first thing he does is he looks at us, and he goes, "Hey, you guys are here!"
Yeah.
It was crazy. So yeah, we go in and we're standing there, and he's bear hugging people, and we think, oh, he must be hugging them because like
they're
maybe
VIPs, they're press.
VIP. Well, then we noticed they're press, so maybe he knew them personally or something. Comes to us, and he looks at me, and he puts his arms out, and he was like, "Come on, man, get in. Glad you could come." So we give him these giant bear hugs. And
in his silent Bob coat,
while he was wearing the coat. And so I was like, Kevin, listen, man, you're a huge influence to me, to all of us. And I explained the whole thing about the movie, and I said, Kevin, I was really kind of hoping if you'd be open to it, of doing this picture with you holding a DVD of the first movie that I wrote and produced, and me holding a DVD of the first movie that you wrote and produced. And I had my Clerks DVD, and he was like, "Yeah, man, let's do it." And so he's like, well, we got to take the cellophane off, and Dragonus goes, "Yeah, and you can keep the DVD."
Well, he goes, well, we can put the cellophane on back.
Oh yeah,
put
that's
it back
right.
on
Put it back on, yeah.
And I go, or you can just keep it He goes, well, that works too.
Yeah, he goes, that'll make it easier. I don't have to put it back
Yeah.
in. So we get the picture, and we think that's probably about it. And he goes, "Hey man, hold on, guys, come on, let's make sure that we didn't get a glare." He goes, "Come on, come on." And he looks at the photographer. He goes, pull that up. Let me see it. I want to make sure there's no glare." Like he didn't have to do any of that.
No.
So then we're talking about it, and he goes, "Did you shoot this in a shop?" And I was like, "Yeah, it deals with comic books. You know, I worked in a shop for a long time." And he goes, "Did you submit this?" And I was like, "No." And you know, I don't want to go into a whole lot more detail there, but he was like, "You got to submit this to the Smodcastle Film Fest." So I was like, "Great, you know, we absolutely will." And you know, I was like, you know, it was a labor of love, and you know, it was a $250,000 film that we made for 15,000. And he was like, "That's great." And he shook both of our hands again, gave us hugs again, and then I guess he was talking to you because I went to
Yeah.
grab my bag. So what? I never even asked. What did you
Oh,
guys talk about while I was grabbing my bag?
all I said, because I wanted to make sure I didn't want to take everybody away all this time, I was like, by the way, Kevin, I'm a huge Daredevil fan. He's like my favorite superhero, and your run on Daredevil is by far my favorite run on Daredevil. And he's like, oh, dude, thank you so much. Like I don't know if he was like, doing the whole I'm going to just say thank you, or if he was genuine, but it felt genuine. So I'm going to take it as genuine.
I think he's a genuine guy.
I think so too,
I
though.
think what you see is what you get.
Yeah. And he was just like, dude, thank you so much. I was like, no, man, thank you. And then I kind of ran up and caught up with
Yeah.
you.
Well, and that was the other thing. As we were walking out, one of the coolest things ever is he pointed at me and he goes, "And man, congrats on completing a movie. You know how hard that is to make a
Yeah.
film. Way to go on making a movie and getting it done."
Yeah.
And then we got out of line. I had no words. I had
Uh-huh.
no
Hey,
words in
you
that
were
moment.
Same.
physically shaking so bad for meeting him. You could not put your photo in the sleeve. I had to do it for you.
Yep.
And you guys
Yep.
told me part of that
Yep.
story, and it made me go, "That's it." And I turned around right there and bought tickets to
Yep.
get Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes because time was up. And Mrs. Prime was like my little like heavenly voice going, "If you don't do it, you'll regret it." And I was like, "You're right, heavenly voice. If I don't do it, I'll regret it." And I literally bought the ticket
That,
while we were standing there, and you guys heard me walk up to the guy, and he goes, "Do you have your ticket?" I go, "No, I just bought it," and showed him my phone, and he was like, "Go ahead." He's like, "Yeah, man, let's get up there 4 times up." So I walked in, and someone else was like, "Do you have your ticket?" I'm like, "No, I just
that,
bought it," and they were like, "Yeah, man, go on in." So I go in, and there's Kevin and Jason Mewes, and they're just like sitting in the corner, and they're kind of talking, and they told me to stand on this like tape line. So I stand there. There's no one else in the room, and I'm standing there,
uh-huh.
and Kevin's like, "Dude, are you here for me?" And I was like, I just nodded because Smurphy was actually speechless. I was, and he was like, "Bro, get in here!" Big old bear hug, right? And I was like, "Oh my god!" Right? And then Muse was like, I guess he maybe recognized me. I don't know. They're like, "Yeah, man, we gotta do this." And I was like, "Yeah." I go, "Kevin," I go, "I do a fellow podcast with some guys. You're kind of one of our inspirations. I love everything you do, man." And he was like, "Yeah." I go, a little shameless self promo in here," and I pointed to the shirt I was wearing. And he was like, "Yeah, bro, get in here." Jason Mewes takes my postcard and goes, "We got to get this in the photo." He's holding it up, and he looks at me. He goes, "Am I holding it right?" He had it backwards, and so I was like, "Oh, postcard backwards." And he goes, "Oh, my bad, dude." And
Oh,
he's like, "It's cool." And so he turns it around, and he's like, "Let's make sure this photo's great." Took the photo. Since nobody else was behind me, Kevin was like, "Yeah, man, like, are you know, or why'd you come?" And I was like, "Man, I just, I would come to every convention, and I love to see you." And I just want to let you know, man, fellow heart attack survivor, listen to your hiking story. I got into mixed martial arts because of it. You're my inspiration to lose weight and get it done right. We talked probably about 5 minutes about the heart attack, same issues. He
that's
then gave me
cool.
another hug and was like, "Dude, way to
I mean,
survive it. Keep up the good work." He's like, like stay strong. And I was like, "Yeah, man." I go, "You keep doing what you're doing. It's giving me inspiration to keep going." And he was like, "Oh, dude." He's like, "That means a lot." And then Mrs. Prime came behind me, and
that's
I
really
was like,
cool.
"Yeah." I was like,
Yep.
"Hi, heavenly voice." And I go, "Are you here for a photo?" And she just goes, "Mm-hmm." And I was like, "Okay." And they're like, "Sir, you need to get your bag and go." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like,
For those
and
of
then I
you at
got my
home, too,
bag.
Mrs. Prime is very timid and shy.
Yeah, and which is fine. And so I grabbed my bag and I was like, "I'll wait for her," because I know she's a little timid and shy. And that's when another worker was like, "Sir, you can go ahead and walk all the way down and go around and get your photo." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, pretty much like, so you need to leave now. No, oh. But that was like, after that, I was like, dude, we could leave right now. Best con ever. Like, and I've even been to New York City Comic Con, and I was like, nope, this is the
Yep.
best con ever. Best experience ever. Like, there it is. He would,
It's
and
funny that you
I was gonna say, Prime. He is
go on.
genuine, man. Like after listening to his podcast and after everything he's been through, I think he's one of those guys. Like I don't have time to be fake. I'm not gonna be fake. And I think if he was
Yep.
uninterested in you, he would
Yeah,
have been
that's a
like,
good point.
"Hey, man, it's great to see you, man. Have a good day," being nice. But to take the time to talk to us, hug us a couple times, hear stuff, ask us questions, like what an awesome
Yeah.
guy. Like just awesome guy. Like the whole crew, awesome.
Dude.
Real.
Yeah,
Genuine.
real.
Those are the two best words to describe Kevin Smith.
Yep.
Real and genuine.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, he's been on the other side of the table.
Yeah, he knows what it's like, and he's never forgotten it. You know,
Right.
so many do. So many forget it or intentionally strive to
Be
leave
better
that
than
behind and be better than that. And he knows he's not better than that, and he kept that. And I think that's what makes him better than that is
Yep.
that he is that genuine and real.
Yep.
And that alone, that would have been the show.
Yeah.
That would have been the show. But we went back over. Dragonus and I went back over to talk with Rob Paulson because Dragonus had our parents send him photos of our dad and Randy Rogel doing Singing in the Rain together, and so we went back over there to talk to him, and that was an incredible experience.
Yeah.
I should have walked up on you
I
guys,
mean,
but I was giving you your space. I'm an idiot.
Oh, you should have joined us because he sat there and he just chatted with us. He just talked with us. Yeah, telling us stories about Randy Rogel, telling us stories about working on Animaniacs and
telling a story about how he had to learn the Country of the World song, how he's
Yep.
laying in bed reading it for the first time.
Yep. I mean,
what a nightmare.
So super cool. I ended up getting an autograph too, because it was again like Kevin Smith, real and genuine.
Yeah.
Real and genuine.
Rob Paulson was the highlight of my show. I loved seeing Kevin Smith. It was again, I'm still beaming thinking of meeting Kevin Smith, but I have to say Rob Paulson was the highlight of my show. And he even recorded a video of us to sing on Randy. There's a recording of us on Rob Paulson's phone.
That's right. To send like a greeting to Randy Rogel because our dad worked and when we say our dad worked with Randy Rogel, it's not like Randy came into town, they did a show for 3 weeks, and then that was it. This show was based out of the biggest and oldest amphitheater in the country, the St. Louis Muni. It seats, what is it, something like 12,000, 15,000, something like that.
It's really big, yeah.
It's big. And they were doing Singing in the Rain, and the show started here. So Randy came into town, they had 2 weeks of rehearsal, and then a third week of the show. So they spent 3 weeks doing the show together. And then they went on like an 8 or 10 week tour with the show all around the country. So he then spent another 8 to 10 weeks with Randy in hotels, traveling the country. I mean, it was like, almost a third of a year spent together doing the show.
Well, Dad had told me too that he and Randy got pretty close during it too.
They did, and we even, Dragonus, you and I even got to meet Randy when we were kids at the airport, while he was writing the dictionary song.
Yep, I was about to say we got to watch him write that.
yeah, while he was writing the dictionary song in the airport that day, and he even said, I got a call that they want this song, and I don't know how the hell I'm going to do this. Do all the words in the dictionary. Yeah, and then, from there, I mean, my gosh, I mean, we went around and we did some shopping and we talked to a bunch of other really great artists.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Really, really great artists. We are going to put links to all of their things. We are, again, if you're only listening to this, go to YouTube because we are putting up the artists, their names, their work on the screen while we're talking right now.
Yeah.
These guys are great.
I want to do a special shout out, not to embarrass anybody, But Dragonus, I don't know if you heard the story or not, but we went and talked to an artist, and Dr. Impact brought up Mighty Crusaders, and brought up how it got
Oh,
relaunched and how Rob Liefeld was going to be the artist and how that thing kind of went south. And this guy was like, "Hey, man, you should talk to my buddy because he's the one who did the art for the brand new Mighty Crusaders. He's just down the aisle, and his name's Tone." And so we were like, so of course, he looks at me. He's like, I'm like,
not just the art.
yeah,
He
but he
told
wrote
us
it.
that it was the cover.
Yeah, the cover.
No, he did the cover of the variant cover of the issue that caused the big stir and caused
Yes.
Rob Liefeld to quit the book.
Yes.
And he
See,
was like,
that's
"Yeah,
the part.
he's right down there." Sorry, Smurfy,
Yeah,
go on.
no. Yeah, I was getting to that because that's the part where I was like, "Hey, man, I know you're a big this con has been so awesome. Let's keep this going." So we buy some prints from that first guy, and then we go walking and we find Tone, and we stand there, and I'm just like, "Hey, man, this is all Dr. Impact's thing. I'll let him talk because this is like his guy." This guy went into full detail and told me and the doctor how Rob kind of the whole thing started, how Rob kind of sort of called him out. This and way more information we've ever gotten from anything else. Where I sat there and was just listening, going, "I can't believe we're hearing this story. This is an amazing story." So of course we were both like, "Hey man, I'm not a big of a Mighty Crusader fan, but he had the cover in 11x17 print," and I was like, "We need to buy the." I
Of
was
the
ready to buy
famous, the now
of the
infamous
famous cover.
cover, yeah.
And so I was like, "Yeah, man, I need to buy one." And of course, he's like, "I'll take one." And then I saw he had a Spawn cover too, and I was like, "I'll take that." And we're talking to him more. I then realized he was the guy who created and drew the comic book, The Adventures of Jimmy Halpert from The Office, and he had the comic and 11x17 print. Yeah.
really?
So I was like, "Awesome!" I'm like, "This is the same guy."
Oh.
Well, while we're talking and they're gushing over Mighty Crusaders, Tone just goes, "You know what, man?" And he pulls out this $80 comic, right? That has a metal picture on the back of it and starts signing it. And Dr. Impact looks at me like I ordered that. And I was like, "No, man." And I knew what he was doing right away. He just gave that to Dr. Impact. He was like, "Hey, man, for being a fan and you guys being cool, listen to us. Here, signed it." Goes, and he goes, "I can't take this." He's like, I just can't." And the guy goes, "No, man, I have an extra one. Please, you're doing me a favor, take it." And the guy's also a fellow
Well, and it
motorcycle.
wasn't just
It was
it
what
wasn't
was it?
just any. It was the book.
Yeah, it was the book.
It was the comic with the variant cover book that caused the big stir, and the metal print, which is about the size of a comic book,
Yep.
was the same image.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
The variant cover, the book that caused Rob Liefeld to say, "You spoiled my book," even though he didn't. There was no spoiling of anything.
There was no spoiling.
It was
He
just,
spoiled his
Rob
book back in the
finding a way
90s
to
when he made
get
Cable.
out of it. It was the infamous book. He was like, "No, you need to have it." I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
He was speechless, so I stepped up and was like,
Wow.
"Sir, to be honest with you have no idea how much it means to my friend." I was like, he doesn't have enough words in his vocabulary to express how much this means to him. Like, you completely have made probably his year. And he was like, "Oh, you're just being sweet." I go, "No," I'm like, "You have no idea, man. Like, this probably made his year." So, and he was like, "Well, you guys have been really great. You guys, thanks for talking to me." Like, I don't know, he was a super awesome guy. So that's why I was like, special shout out to him for just
He
being
was
so awesome.
super awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Everybody
imagine
we met.
Year. I mean,
Yeah.
you did a five episode history on the Mighty Crusaders, and if you guys want to hear about that history as well, check out our Spotify and our YouTube channel, so you guys can be just as big a fanboys as Dr. Impact.
That's right. I mean, yeah, every single person that we met, I think,
Yeah.
was amazing.
You also met
There's
one
other artists
other artist that I was there for, because I wasn't there for Tone. You met
Right.
the legendary Pat Broderick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, dude, there were so many artists
that in and of itself, I know. Yeah, there's so many. Yeah, meeting Pat Broderick in and of itself could have been a highlight of a show.
Yeah,
because he was so influential to me when I was learning to be an artist when I was in high school, from his Firestorm stuff, from his Captain Atom stuff.
I loved his Firestorm.
That alone would have been a highlight in anybody's book.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. There's no disrespect meant towards Mr. Broderick, but I sometimes forget that I met him because there were so many things that happened at this show. So many things. I don't know about you guys. I don't want to speak for you guys. But
Okay.
I will go first, and I will say this might be, outside of the time that we screened the vampire film Shadowland, and I actually was doing signings, which was a night. It was like a madhouse of people getting DVDs signed. Outside of that, this might be the best convention I've ever done. You guys, how do you feel?
I I went.
Oh,
I've been to New York City Comic Con, right? Just like last year, which I thought was the biggest, baddest con I've ever been to, because that's the next step down from San Diego, right? How do you top that?
It is.
yeah.
This one
Mm-hmm.
topped it. This one topped it. Like, even though I saw all those
Wow.
great things in New York City, because this one was so small and intimate, and there's so many awesome people, and since it was smaller, we had to spend all the time talking to everybody for so long. It was like just
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic. Like, I was like, dude, this one tops it. Then New York City's number two. So
I mean, all I've really done convention wise is St. Louis Comic Con. I did a Wizard World years ago
In
in
Chicago.
Chicago,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, but I didn't get to really look around because at the time Doctor and I were trying to sell our self-published book, and I
Mm-hmm.
was a definite starving artist, so I couldn't afford to meet anyone. Um, but of all those, I think this has to be the best con I have ever gone to. And it wasn't even like I didn't even find anything cool. Well, that's not true. I did find the tracks pop to buy
Oh yeah,
from
the Transformers exclusive.
convention. Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just meeting people that were practically, or if not even practically, meeting people that are almost heroes of mine, and just
Mm-hmm.
seeing how freaking awesome they were and cool they
Yeah.
were, and bear hugging Kevin Smith. Oh my god!
I know. But even
three
the people
times,
that we didn't know,
three
three,
times,
yeah, right.
three
Right.
hugs.
Yeah,
That's
Three
what I got.
times
That's
for
my
us too,
total.
yeah. Um Even the people that we had not known about beforehand, the artists that we discovered while we were there that were amazing. And I mean, I think we all got multiple prints from various artists, and
yeah.
they were all just so cool.
And I'm going to throw this little anecdote out there as well. On Saturday, there was the voice actress for the character Sombra from Overwatch, and my Mrs. and we used to play Overwatch all the time, but we never cared for Sombra. She was like the character like we never were good at, so we never liked her character. So when we found out she was at Fan Expo, we were like, whatever. I'll tell you what, I have so much more respect for the voice actress of Sombra. She was amazing. Her name is Carolina Ravassa. She was absolutely amazing with everyone. Genuinely walked out in front of the table, talked to everyone. There was a girl in her line that she had herself, Dante Bosco, and a bunch of people around him sing happy birthday to her.
That's
Oh
awesome.
She
wow.
was photobombing Nolan North's selfies.
That's awesome.
Like watching her interact with people, the wife and I were both like, okay, I don't care for Sombra, but I have much respect for her.
Yeah, that's cool. Everybody there was cool.
Right.
Everybody was
Yeah.
cool. Um, we didn't know what to expect from Fan Expo St. Louis 2022. We had very low expectations. And so, even if only a very small handful of those things were to have happened, it would
Yeah.
have blown the expectations out of the water and we would have been on cloud nine. This was way beyond that. This
Yep.
was no expectations could have prepared us for the way that this show was. And not only, I think all three of us are in agreement on this, not only
Hmm.
will we go to the Fan Expo St. Louis of 2023, but I think my big fat pull list is going to have an official booth slash table at that show because it's just that cool. It's just that fun.
Yeah. I think Dragonus might try to find other fan expos to go to.
Absolutely, we should.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I'm always down.
Yes. Yes. Well, we do normally do a call to the audience at some point. and ask you guys a question. You guys, if you're in the St. Louis area or nearby and you went to Fan Expo, please share your stories with us. Find us on TikTok. Stitch a video with us, or send it.
Mm-hmm.
Telling us your story. Share a story on our social media. If you're not in the area,
Share us
and
your favorite convention story.
right, and you go to conventions and you love it.
Mm-hmm.
It's convention season. We have kicked off convention season 2022. We want to know your convention stories.
Yeah.
Share them. Well, guys, I don't know that I'll ever forget this. This was
I'm exhausted just talking about it
I
again.
know, just reliving it is an exhaustion. Um, we will, of course, keep everyone posted throughout the show. Keep listening to the show. Make sure that you're a subscriber. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you're rating and reviewing so that we can continue to keep doing this, and and that way you don't miss out on updates for what shows that we will be at going forward, as well as updates on things like the book that Dragonus and I uh, are putting together, or the various different, and trust me, we had a lot of ideas thrown around, Smurphy and I, throughout the day on Sunday. The various projects and things that he and I had come up with. You don't want to miss out on that stuff. Whatever happens with submitting 4-color eulogy to Smodcastle Film, you'll want to keep up with that. So be sure to follow and subscribe and
Yep.
be a lister. Join us, guys. We want to geek out with you all.
Oh, and Jason Mewes, if you want to rag on me, and Jeff Anderson, if you want to rag on me, send the messages my way. I'll take them all day.
Or
There
call
you go,
me.
guys.
I'll help.
Yeah,
Fine.
gauntlets thrown. Well, until next time, guys. This is I'm even just thinking about it. My words are gone already. I'm speechless. I almost gave the wrong name. I almost called myself Dragonus Prime. That's how
And I'm Dr. Impact. Yeehaw!
Wow. Oh man. Well, I guess I'm Dr. Impact. I'm Mr. Doctor. There we go.
I'm exhausted.
And I'm Smurfy X Pistol Prime. Nailed it.
Oh, he's a combiner.
We'll see y'all next time.
What he means is you and everyone you know should subscribe, rate, and review our podcast on every app possible.